Most real estate agents who make six figures stay broke. They're not risk averse, they're just financially stuck. Why? Because they've confused income with wealth. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Linnea Carver, and the people I work with have one thing in common. They are done following the traditional path. They have checked all the boxes. They've got a great job, a great income, but they still feel like something's missing. So if that's you, then this space was built for your next chapter. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and ding that notification bell so you don't miss out on new and exciting, relevant content. Today's conversation is with someone who didn't just rewrite her story, she rebuilt her entire life. After losing her job, her marriage, and half her retirement, Kelly Fasterling leaned into education, leverage, and radical ownership. And the result? A portfolio of 90 properties, multiple passive income streams, and a mission that is so much bigger than money. So let's dive into Kelly's story and what real freedom truly looks like.
Lost the job, lost the husband within a month. Buy about 90 properties in a 5-year period of time. Good realtors are sitting on a lot of cash. That cash is sitting in the bank going backwards with inflation. My youngest son got diagnosed with MS. For my son, that we will find that solution, and we're still chasing it.
Hey, Kelly, thank you so much for being here. It's so awesome.
Thank you for inviting me.
So I'm glad you're here because your story is really inspiring to me. I'll let you tell your story, but I was really intrigued mostly with your story of investing, really investing and building wealth outside of selling real estate. I mean, yes, you are a real estate agent, of course, but you have multiple different income sources that are real estate related, not real estate related, that I think could really be valuable in this industry, especially this real estate market we're in today. So I'm excited to have you share your story.
Thank you. And it's been a journey. It hasn't all been great, I'll tell you. Back in the day, I don't know if like you, Kelly, go to school, get a good job, you're going to be great, right? Mm-hmm. I did. It wasn't so great. I did, after 25 years of the job and 21 years of marriage, lost the job, lost the husband within a month. And I got to start over. So I had an 11, 13, 15-year-old boys, and I was 100% solely financially responsible for them. And I had no job, had a melanoma, and my 401k had dropped in half twice. So I got to figure it out. And I figured it out by leaning into some programs. If you're familiar with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah. Not only read his book, went to his course, I did his full mentoring series. $26,000 later, I started investing. And from that journey, I was able to grow my portfolio by about 90 properties in a 5-year period of time. Not all through what he did, but through a number of introductions. I learned how to manage my money. I learned how to save on my taxes. And it's been a journey. And again, some of it's worked, some of it has not, but it's been great.
I love it. So you said 90 properties, and I was like, I'm not going to lie. I am one of those real estate agents who has not invested yet. I know. And it's not because I'm not risk averse. I would say I'm probably way less risk averse than my husband, but I think that I don't know how. Right. So it's like, how do you start? And there's so many different ways. So I would love to hear that, because I know I'm not the only one out there, a real estate agent who sells a lot of houses, makes a lot of people happy, makes a really good amount of income. There's so much more I could be doing. But what would you say to someone what? Tell me what to do, Kelly.
How do you start? Well, and that's where I was. So here I am, no job, no income, no anything. And how do I start? Because my finances were not in the place I wanted them to be.
Right.
So I started by, let's go get educated. So I did that Rich Dad, Poor Dad mentoring. I did my first house, 2 months to find it, 2 months to fix it up, 1 month to get a renter in there. And I was jobless, so it was okay. So as a producing realtor, you don't have that kind of time. I got it done, and I was going for the second one, and I couldn't find the second one. Plus, it took me 3 months to get that renter out, and I realized I'm not a good property manager. I believe what anyone tells me. I don't like a phone call in the middle of the night when something doesn't work. That is not my superpower. And so I learned a lot about that process. And as I was looking for the next house, I got connected with a group that flat out just does it all for me. And that's when I started to take off, is by working with people that would get out of my backyard. I'm in Colorado Springs. Okay. Our prices are pretty high for the rent ratio I could get. And our landlord laws have changed. We are no longer landlord friendly here in Colorado. And so it's not a
Same
good
here in
place.
Seattle. Yeah,
Yeah.
same here in Seattle. Same thing. Like it's not a landlord friendly place. So that's kind of my little like, yeah. So I'm glad you're
Yeah.
touching on that. Sorry.
Yeah, you get stuck on that. And so I was stuck on that, frankly.
Yeah.
And so I met this group that would do everything for me. And they were finding the best markets. It was, if you remember back in the day, Vegas and Phoenix, and it was Orlando and Indianapolis and Memphis. And they had found the best markets for somebody like me and you to invest in. And they did it all for me. It was turnkey. I put up the money. I own it 100%. They did all the work for me. And that was life changing, absolutely life changing to grow. So when I had enough money to just continue to buy and buy and buy and buy and create successful real estate. Because if you look at the industry, the folks that go to class like I did with Kiyosaki's class, their success rate is about 3%. It's not a great return. First of all, most of them never buy a house. And then when they do, most of them don't create great returns or wealth. So 3% of them buy and 3% they get a 3% return. That's not good. That's not good math. So the ability to create good math on it, I've been able to do. I was able to not only grow the portfolio, but 10x my asset base within a 10-year period. And that's been life changing for me to put me back in the driver's seat to say, there's hope again.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Like, I know you have a webinar, right? You have a webinar that you teach so like agents can come and, or anyone really. It's not just for agents, right? It's for everyone.
It's not just for agents.
Okay. Yeah. And so like what's the like I know that it's getting educated, but like what do you say to someone when they're like, "Well, where am I going to get the money?"
Yeah, money's a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are a lot of ways to get started. Like take my kids. I have three boys,
Okay.
now in their 30s. But my advice to them was always start with your first house. It's not going to be your dream house because you can't afford your dream house. So start with your first one and buy it with the mentality that you're going to rent that out. Okay.
Got it.
So
Hmm.
now be willing, because you're young and you're nimble, be willing to move. And if you can move every year, and buy your next house and rent this one, and buy your next house and rent these two, and buy your next house and rent these three, you can start to build up an asset base. So that's one way. Now the other way is you just make a lot of money and you put some aside. Well, that's great, but that doesn't work for most people. It might work for a lot of realtors, a lot of execs, a lot of folks that they've piled a money. Truly, when I talk to realtors and we look
They
at,
don't do it.
well, we look at finances.
Yeah.
Truly, Lene, most realtors are good realtors are sitting on a lot of cash.
Hmm.
That cash is sitting in the bank going backwards with inflation. And it's just so interesting in this industry that folks that are commission based don't know if December is going to be bad, don't know if this market's going to turn around. And so they're sitting on cash just waiting. So when I learned how to take that cash, now I was sitting on cash to buy another house.
Hmm.
But when I finally learned to take that cash and make it work for me, and then when I want to buy a house, I can use that cash, put it in the house, and it can earn in both places. So if I put it in the bank, then I use it and it's only earning in real estate.
Yeah.
If I put it into a foundational asset that earns in both places, another life-changing lesson for me to figure out how to manage my money, basically.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Like I actually felt the same way when I very first, like talking about managing money, when I bought my very first house in general. I was really bad with money before then. Like really bad with money. Like I had filed bankruptcy, I had an eviction, I had a repossession. I was really irresponsible with money in my early 20s. It took me many, many years, like almost 20 years to like be comfortable talking about my money story. And so
Yeah.
what happened is like when I bought my first house, like all of a sudden I learned financial responsibility. And it's hard to like really identify how. I just all of a sudden learned it. All of a sudden I was kind of like, wait a second, I actually have some literacy now around finances. So I
Right.
wonder if it would be the same thing about investing, right? There's the fear, how do
Yeah.
I start? Where do I get the money? But then like once you do it, it's kind of like, oh, well, now I know. Now I figured it out. Okay, so now I just want to do it more. It's probably kind of becomes a little bit like addictive, if you will.
It is addictive and it multiplies. So when I started, 20 years ago, I was 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 20 years ago Go back to my story, lost a lot of money in the market, no job. No, I mean, I did not have cash. I did have an IRA. Now, my IRA was half what it was, but I had an IRA.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's where I started. And this was 2012. So I was able to take my IRA and I was able to buy my first house using a bank note on it, which is interesting. That's an interesting process. And
I
then
bet.
get my second house. And that's all I could do. That's all I had.
Right.
So I got those two houses. And then as life progressed, I was able to take a house and sell it and buy two or three. I was able to take a house and refinance it and buy another one. And so I was able to just start getting some multiplier. And then I was able to take this foundational asset, tuck money in there as I'm trying to build enough to buy another house and watching it grow. And now I'm starting to get a multiplier on that as that goes into real estate. So as I just shifted how I looked at things,
Yeah.
bottom line, you have to start. When you start and you get house one, and then you can have house one start to grow and multiply to get to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16. That's really where it goes. It's start. You got to think of having the cash to get one. If you can get in one, you can start to get some legs on it.
That's kind of a little fascinating that you just said. I took it. I had access to my IRA, right, or my IRA, whatever you want to call it. So I also have an IRA from when I came from corporate. I rolled over
Exactly.
my 401k into an IRA, and like it sits there because like I've always had the mindset like it's got to sit there. You got to have something. It's like if you don't, you're gonna pay these taxes when you pull it out and this and that. But in my financial literacy journey, I'm like, wait a second, does that actually make financial sense when you could, yeah, pay a little bit of a penalty on it, but if long as you make that money work for you, like
Yeah.
you can triple, quadruple that probably pretty easy.
That's exactly my journey. So I started with my
Okay.
IRA and I invested in two houses with it, and then it got restrictive. And so I have a mentor in the financial space. I ran all the numbers and I was just obsessing about running the numbers and saying, I think it makes sense to pull it out. Now, I'm not recommending this to anybody because there is a heavy penalty, but I'm looking at it and saying, Michael, this looks like it makes sense to pull this out. I'm running the numbers, and between the power of and having it work for me in two assets at the same time, I can't do that where it is. And he says, you're exactly right. It was just like, I was waiting for you to see the light kind of thing. And so I did
Yeah.
do make that choice for me.
Right.
And again, it's allowed me to really create some growth and take advantage. We call it kind of left pocket, right pocket. We've all got something, most of us have something sitting somewhere, whether it's
Yeah.
the bank, whether it's real estate, whether it's primary home, whether it's IRAs, 401k, whatever. We usually have something sitting somewhere that we've done, but we're stuck in that paradigm of where that investment is and what it has to do for us. And when we
Mhm.
open ourselves to opportunity, all of a sudden the light bulb goes on and it changes and it can be better. All those things we learned about money, not necessarily all right.
My light bulbs are going off right now. Like I don't know if you can see it, but my head's I'm like, okay, okay. Like it just makes so much sense. I'm just like, yeah. So that's why I love these conversations because I'm like, oh my gosh, look at what I just learned. And it's actually kind of the same because we're in a mastermind group together this year. And that's
Yes.
actually how we met. It's the same thing around being in this group of people. I don't know about you, but I've just so inspired by like you and by like other people in our group who are just doing all
Yes.
of these things and really making their life come to fruition. Not just like it's not about income, it's not about money, but it's about life. And like what has been able to, you investing in 90 properties, helping you have about 100 and some odd agents that you help regularly, right? Plus like your webinars that you do, like what has all of that done for you? Like your life. That's what I want to know. Like tell me about that.
Yeah. So if we go back to where I was,
Hmm.
pretty broken and pretty unsure of what's next, to where am sitting today, and I'm not there. It's a journey, and we keep going. but the peace of mind that I feel that my finances are in a much better spot, and the peace of mind I feel that I'm creating passive income. My goal is a big number and 7 passive income streams. So I've got
I
6.
love that.
Um, Now, none of them are where I want them, but having the ability to create multiple passive income streams like rental income, like helping agents and getting overrides on agents, like helping people with their finances and there's overrides there. There's just so many ways to create finance in this world, and it's keeping your eyes open to how to create leverage. If you go back to Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, did you ever read that book?
Yeah. I have, they're actually both, I don't know if you can see my bookshelf, but they're both on my bookshelf. I have Cash Flow Quadrant and Rich Dad Poor Dad right behind me. And the funny thing is, I read them when I was in my teens because my
Mm.
mom was like really into all the stuff that I'm into now, just not at the same scale. And I didn't accept it as a teenager. I didn't really know,
Yeah.
I was kind of like, yeah. So now it's like I'm just now rereading a bunch of these books that I read growing up. And I'm like,
Yes.
oh, huh, like, why didn't I pay attention to this when I was younger?
And we're not at the spot to be able to receive, but
Right.
he has that one chart that says, job. And I was corporate America, had the job working for somebody else, making their money, to self employed. And that's where most realtors are. That's where most commissioned people are.
Mhm.
It's still a job. It's just we're working for ourselves and setting our own schedule.
Yeah.
To creating leverage through business and leverage through assets. So for me, that's been a journey to create the asset base that creates leverage and then create the business that I can come and go. Like Brian and I, we went to Thailand for a month last year. And that was a dream to be able to, still be connected because I like email and the connection with people, still be connected, but not have to be on the phone, be on meetings, be on calls, and be able to separate and really enjoy a vacation without being tied to my phone has been just life changing. And the opportunity is unlimited. It's just being around people like you, like the group that we're in, to look at life differently. I've so up leveled my view of what we can create based on the top 5 people I'm around. You always hear it's the people that you're around, it's how you think. And I've put myself in rooms and circles and environments where people run circles around me. And I love not being the smartest in the room because I can learn every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. That is my motto. My husband actually is the one who had said that to me when we first got together. He was like, don't be the smartest person in the room. And at the time when we first met, I wasn't really, I would say probably a little more advanced in my growth journey than others were comparatively, but not nearly where I am today. And I didn't 100% know what he meant. But
Yeah.
but every day I think about him saying that to me, like every single day. I'm like, man, I am like in our Scottsdale room. I was like, I am definitely not the smartest person in this room. I am definitely not the smartest. And then, what's even more kind of like inspiring about that is like last week when we were on the call, because we have our calls every week, someone who I would be like is probably the smartest person in the room actually said that he isn't the smartest person in the room when it comes to like certain things like nutrition and health. I'm like, oh my God. So we all have these things that like we can learn from. And
Yes.
yeah, it's fascinating. I love it. I love it. I love the income and the growth and the creation and the freedom and all those
Exactly.
stories.
And it's
Yeah.
it's the openness to receive, like you said, you read those books earlier on, and they didn't impact you. And I've gone
No.
back and reread some to say, oh wow, I totally missed that. I totally missed the message. I just wasn't in the space to receive at that point.
Right. Okay, speaking of that, books. I love to talk about books. I love reading. I am a self-identified book nerd. If
Yeah.
I could have anything, like if I could create the most leverage in my life, it'd just be so I could sit back and read all day, every day. Like I would be happy. I'd be happy. I really have this dream of like I've always wanted to own a coastal bookstore with a coffee shop. And I know they're much more common now than they were when I originally dreamt of them at the age of 8. But that being said, what's the most impactful book that you've reread lately?
Oh, reread would be
Mm.
E-Myth, uh, and really understanding the myth of entrepreneurship.
Oh, E-Myth. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was good. I'm a couple of girls and I put together a book study group. We meet and we do book study and accountability.
Mhm.
Powerful. But as we read a book, we're in Atomic Habits right now.
Love it.
As we read a book, we'll tear it apart and we'll ask each other questions and apply it to our lives and create action rather than just read it and enjoy it, actually create action around the content. And that's been very, very powerful.
I love that. Yeah. That's a good one. I need to reread that one, E-Myth. I just reread The Four Agreements. Have you read
Yes,
that
I've read it. It didn't, that one didn't strike me when I read it. And that was 15 years ago. So it could be time to pick that up because everyone continues to mention that one as a
one?
powerful book. What'd
Yeah,
you get from it?
so like I actually read it right when we got back from Scottsdale because
I
it kind of like when we were there, it kind of opened up my eyes to some of my own limiting beliefs that I had. I was kind of like,
go,
oh, I've got some limiting. I didn't realize it. That's what being around the people. That's what being around
wow,
people does. It makes you realize that the limits that you're putting on yourself. And so that's actually what I took from it was like the stories that I have adopted into my belief system.
exactly.
That's what I took, and I actually journal just like you do with your book club. I journal whenever I'm reading a book. I journal like I usually write myself a question, and then I
Exactly.
like go through it. And so that one I think probably took me in the past like a couple of days to go through. This time it took me about 2 weeks
Okay.
because I was like writing down a question. I'm like, okay, there's a large part where they talk about forgiveness. I'm like, who do I need to forgive right now?
Yes.
What do I need to forgive? What stories do I need to forgive? That's was really powerful for me. So,
One you'd love along those lines of limiting beliefs is a book called If How To's Were Enough, We'd All Be Skinny, Rich, and Happy.
okay.
Right?
I love the title. I love the title. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to
it's
write it down.
Brian Klemmer, Klemmer. Very, very powerful and points you in the direction of we all know how. We know how to lose weight. We know how to make money. We know how to invest. We know how to do these things. We aren't doing it.
Right.
And it's those limiting beliefs.
Right.
Very
Right.
powerful.
Yeah, I mean, whenever, because part of like, I would love to know, like, in your teachings of people, in your in your work with people, I'd love to know, like, what are some of the biggest success stories you've had?
In different areas, a couple different things. One is Scott. So Scott is an agent out of the California area.
Okay.
He was going to buy his brokerage, 40 agents. They were going down the path. The broker was going to retire. And all of a sudden, the broker pulled it in under another brokerage. And
Okay.
he was floundering. He's a commercial agent, very strong, floundering. And when he saw me in an airport, carrying my bag around, and he connected with me and said, let's talk. And we did. He's been on my team now for a year, and his business has gone to the point he's six figure in a month income coming in from
Wow.
his business where before he was floundering. He's getting passive income as well. And all of a sudden, life has changed.
Yeah.
That's,
What are some of the things that like that's an awesome story. Six
yeah.
figures a month. I know a lot. I would love that, and I know there's a lot of people watching this who would love that. What are some of the things that you helped him do, or some of the things that he implemented that helped him get
Yeah.
there?
It's back to getting in the right space. So he got in a space where commercial's very strong and where connection and collaboration was very strong. And he got the tools to be able to do that. And he got to think bigger. So rather than think of what I do in Reading, he got to think of what can I do across the United States and even more in other countries. So in that space, he could expand out his business to do business brokering and commercial real estate in a much bigger way than he had ever thought. So that and he's got 80 some thousand residential agents that refer to him because there's not a lot of commercial agents in that space. And
Yeah.
he picked up, I think he told me about half his deals from other agents in his brokerage that said, "Hey, you do commercial, I've got, I'll take the referral fee. It's a win-win." And they get the business done. And it comes from a nice warm source. And so it's just created such a multiplier for him.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is leverage.
That's leverage. Yeah.
That is 100% leverage. That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. I love that. If you're sitting on cash, equity, or even just a desire to start, this is your moment. Kelly teaches this in depth in her free webinar, and I highly recommend you check it out. Go to wealthmasteryblueprint.com and grab your spot. I'm going to be there too. I would say part of the work that I do with my clients, because I work with a lot of top 1% agents. I work with some executives in the corporate space. Like a lot of what I do is like helping them identify what I had to identify with myself, those limiting beliefs, and then helping them zoom out on their business and, look for those mindset shifts. So I'm always curious kind of the synergies that, we have within our own audiences. And then the results that come from that, like going from floundering to 6 figures in a month is pretty amazing.
It's massive.
Yeah. That could change a lot of people's lives. And remember when you were in corporate and you thought you were great making 6 figures a year?
I do. I do remember those days.
Yeah. Yeah. I always have to, like, whenever I like have the whole, I wish I was here. Like, I want to be there, and I do the whole, like, I want to be here, but I'm here. And I'm like, wait. I remember when I was in a corporate job and I made 75,000 in a year.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, this is so much money. And now I'm like, wow, like there's so much more opportunity out there. So I remember coming from that, and that was good. I'm not saying anything wrong to anyone who makes that. I remember
stable. Yeah. It was a trade-off. And then when you made 75,000 in a month and you said, "Oh my gosh, this can be so." Now it's not every month, but boy, this could be so different.
Yeah. Look at what could happen. Because there was a couple of months that I made 75, 80,000 in a month just based off of, busy transaction months.
You were running and gunning.
Running and gunning, which I don't do anymore. Which, by the way, curious, how many hours a week do you think you actually work right now?
I'm still very motivated to, like I said, get the big number and 7 passive income sources. So I'm still building. So I haven't particularly slowed down. My goal is to drop my work week to about 30 hours a week so that I can slow down. But I'm also running multiple businesses between the financial services and the real estate and the investing. So between all of them, I'm probably still 50 hours a week.
That's still not bad. That's not bad. I was doing 60 to 70 hours a week with just real estate.
Okay.
So 50 hours a week is really not bad. And now I'm probably, between my, my real estate business, which is probably only 10 hours a week now. It's also hard, like, to identify what's work.
Yeah.
Like, what's actually work
versus joy.
Joy. Because I have joy in what I do, pretty much, unless there's a few moments when I don't. Of course, I'm a human, but like it's also kind of like, I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't see. I talk to people every day about retiring, and the ones that I resonate with are the ones that say, I'm never retiring, Kelly. I'm just shifting what I do, and so the ability now to be able to just shut off my calendar and say we're going to go away for a month. And I don't have to have anything scheduled to make sure I can cover all the bills. That's life-changing when that occurs, and I've been able to just come and go as I please. But when I'm here, I stay at it.
Yeah, I did that last year. I shut off for 2 weeks and just went to Spain. And like you, I was like, I still had my phone on, but we're like 9 hours ahead. So it's like, fine, it'll be fine. And I came back and had a busy book of business, and it was great. So
exactly. And knowing that everything's going to get handled because you built enough team to be able to manage everything. That's nice.
Yes, that's what that's all about. It's like, and that's what you just speak my language. I've got the team. I can do it all without having to do it all.
Without being just me. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So what's your why?
Helping people create financial freedom so they can create their best version of themselves. I believe a lot of it stems from the finance side, because when people are in a survival mode, they're not their best typically. So, some are, but most are not. So that ability to leverage and use tools and to give them the space to go eliminate some of those limiting beliefs, to grow personally, to get into their passion, whatever that passion is. And a lot of times that passion may or may not make money. So to create the space to be able to do what people are really passionate about, helping people do that. That's one. Another why for me, my youngest son got diagnosed with MS about a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
And it's gone faster than we'd like to see. And so having the ability, I truly believe in my head that we will fix it and turn it around. I truly believe that. When I was young, I was legally blind. And I
Wow.
always thought one day they'd pop out my eyes and give me new eyes and I'd be fine. It's not quite the way it happened, but with LASIK surgery 3 times, I was able to get to the point that I could see uncorrected for a while. And now I can still go to a swimming pool and find people. So, it worked. I believe for my son that we will find that solution, and we're still chasing it. We've done stem cells out of country. We've done functional medicine. We've done other things, but
Mm.
if I can get this corrected for him, we can take that out to a larger audience of people that are suffering with MS, and it's debilitating for many of them. And that's no way anyone needs to live if we can find a solution. So I'm on a mission to find a solution for Jared and to then be able to make that available to others.
I don't have anything that I'm just thinking of like impact, right? Just like it's all about impact. And every time I ask somebody what the why is, it's like there's always like it's not about you.
Yeah.
It's about the impact that you can make on people you don't even know. It's kind of like you were in Cabo in
Yeah.
March.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember when Ed Milet was on stage and he, like, this part made me still to this day, I'm like, he was talking to me. I know he was talking to only me, no one else. But remember when he was on stage and at the very end, he basically said, you and only you have the power to change someone's life. You have no idea who needs what you are offering. No idea. And so
Yes.
that's what your story just now made me think of is like, you have no idea out there. You probably haven't even thought about the millions of people who have who are impacted by this.
Yeah.
Like there's so many people out there who are impacted by that. So you're working for something beyond yourself. Yes, your son is the closest thing, but
Yeah.
the legacy that you can leave is exponential.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
I
he was talking to me too.
yeah. Yeah, and he was totally talking to me, and I was like, wow. And so then of course I'm like on this journey of like, okay, what's my biggest impact that I can make? And I
Yeah.
know what it is, and so now I'm like, now I'm living up to that. I'm like, thank you, Ed, for kicking my ass and getting me going.
Right. And
So,
and the realization that a lot of times for me, the biggest impact I can make is just being me,
mhm.
being open, being vulnerable. You were talking about your financial story. Yeah, when you're ready to be open and vulnerable, and yeah, not everything worked. We get to reset, try again, move on. Coming out of a divorce, that was a devastating blow to say I was going to be married forever. It didn't work. Okay, reset.
Right.
Uh, yeah. And so those journeys, we get to share that. And I find people that come on my webinar that say, there's just something about you. I need to connect with you. There's something about you. And that's been a journey for me because I'd say a few years ago, I never got that message. So that's growth.
Yeah. 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 It's there's something powerful in telling your story, right? Stories are exactly what we're going to believe are,
Yeah.
whether they're positive, whether they're negative. The stories that we tell ourselves and the stories that we choose to
Yeah.
believe are our reality.
Yes.
Um, so Anyway, that's why I think like the whole like telling your story of like why just like I didn't know that. I'm glad I'm glad we did this call because I would never have known that. And now I'm like, man, it just makes me have so much more respect and appreciation for you. So
Thank you.
love that. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of fun things. Like
Okay, let's go there.
let's talk about some fun things. Do you watch movies? Do you listen to podcasts? Do you like but talk about that. What does Kelly do for fun?
Um, what do we do for fun? I love being outside. I once had a personal trainer come to the house and he said, "What's your goal?" I got to get outside. So for me, outside is everything, whether it's biking, skiing, hiking, 14ers, climbing 14ers, although I do less of that now. That's big. We don't watch TV at all, but we will. Brian has built this big screen downstairs, and we'll go down and watch a movie, and it's like life size. It's really pretty cool. So we will enjoy that. I enjoy being with people. That for me fills me up. Other people feel drained sometimes. For me, connecting, having a heart to heart conversation, being real, where it's not phony and fake and, here's where I'm at. I love that with friends, with family, with people I just meet. That's powerful. And so I'm always on a search for new people to connect with and old friends. I had a friend come up from Texas. She stayed for a week and a half, and our door is a revolving door. Come stay, because it's sitting down over coffee or it's taking a walk around the neighborhood where the connections happen. It's not the events that we all go to where you get 2 minutes with somebody. So for me, that connection is so powerful. And podcasts, yes, I listen to them every morning. I'm not talking to a friend when I'm walking. Ed Milet, he is absolutely one of my favorites, but there are some great people providing great value out there.
Yeah, yeah, I love Ed Milet. Absolute favorite podcast. So, Ed, I hope you hear this and you're like, I want to be on your podcast, Linnea.
That's right.
I'm manifesting that. I'm speaking that into existence right now.
Let's go.
But no, Ed Milet is absolutely like when I heard he was going to be in Cabo as the keynote, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not missing that. Absolutely not. But I think the other podcast I really enjoy listening to, if you haven't listened to it, is called Diary of the CEO by Stephen Bartlett.
Okay.
And his whole, I think he's got a book too called Diary of a CEO, but his whole podcast is around interviewing founders and people who are thought leaders, people who are making a difference in the world, people who think differently than other people. And so it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And he had someone on the other day who his like whole subject is like the future of the human race, which is just like thoughts that I don't normally think about, but I listened to it. It was a two hour episode, and I was like just fascinated by the fact that he thinks differently, but he's like people think I'm crazy all the time because I'm the only one who talks like this. He's like, but I don't care. He was like, because this is I'm like, this is what you need. It's inspiring just to hear people's stories like that, because you're just like, okay, I might think differently too. And sometimes I'm like, what do people think of me? And I don't really care. So
Exactly.
yeah. So it's fascinating. So if you want a podcast to listen to, maybe add that to your rotation. I think it's so.
Thank you for that gift. I love finding ones that other people really resonate with. I try them on and see if I like them, and if I do, I hang with.
Yeah. There's a few other ones that I listened to, like, podcasts are kind of like in your journey, depending on where you're at. Like when I first got into real estate, I listened to a lot of like super agents, lots of real estate focused stuff. And now I'm listening to a lot more like mindset, sort of unlimiting beliefs, things like that. As I'm moving into what I like to call Linnea 5.0, right?
Yeah.
Linnea 5.0 is.
You might like Rob Dial if you've not picked up him.
So how do you think your kids, your parents, your family would describe what you do?
All of them, my kids, my mom, just Kelly, you never slow down. You're just an energizer bunny. Just go, go, go. So motivated. It's fun to be with them and actually be able to slow down enough to just be in the space. My mom's 87. I see her twice a week, and the opportunity to just connect where she is, because she's not high energy anymore. And it's so cool to have that heartfelt connection. But my mom said when I was little, she said, Kelly, when I asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? She said, your answer was, I want to be important. It was, I don't remember that. And that was funny.
Love
But
that.
I like to have impact
Yeah.
on people because so many people have had impact on me and helped me take my journey in all sorts of directions. And I'm so grateful for them being willing to lean in and say, Kelly, you should look at this. And I like to have impact and help people just see the world a little bit different and grow in a way that supports them to be who they can be.
I love that. Who do you think had the biggest impact on you?
So many,
It's
so
a hard
many.
one.
One I would, and it's funny. So Steve invited me. All he did was make an invitation. He invited me to how I invest in real estate today.
Hmm.
He invited me to connect and learn about money management, which now is a huge part of my life. He invited me to the brokerage that I'm in. And so he made a simple invitation and he kind of walked away. It wasn't like he hounded me or bugged me or anything. He invited me. I was open enough at the time, and this is over like a 15-year period. The fact that he cared enough to say, hey, look at this was powerful because he put me on three different trajectories and without even really knowing that impact. So I would say if I look back over my life at things that have had just a major influence, it's the fact that he invited me to take a look at something that then was so very powerful in my life.
Yeah, I think that's just such a good reminder in general. Like, sometimes it's just the invitation. Sometimes it's like people are so scared to ask. Sometimes, just so scared to even ask. Like, if I had never said, Kelly, do you want to connect? Because I think what happened is after the Scottsdale, I texted you and I was like, I want to connect with you more, right?
Yeah,
So like, what if I had never done that?
right, right.
We would never have had this conversation. We would never, I've never learned all these things. I'm like, I want to ask you about your financial services. I want to know more about this whole your webinar. Like, I want to know all of these things, right? I want to know so much
Right,
more. So like, this is definitely not the end of our conversations. But like,
right.
sometimes it's the ask. It's just like, that's, I think the message that I took from you there was how impactful it was that someone asked you,
Yeah,
invited you,
yes. And for
versus,
him, he might have been going down a list of people to ask.
but
It
it didn't
doesn't
matter.
matter. He
Mm-mm.
shifted my trajectory three different times in my life over the 15 years. It's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, man, this is such a good conversation, Kelly. Such a good conversation. So many things I'm learning from you today. And I guarantee there's going to be a lot of other people who learn from you. So, speaking of other people, where can people find you online and what can they expect to get from you?
I would invite people, if they're open to just learning a little more on the real estate investing financial services side, how to reduce their taxes side,
Hmm.
I do a webinar, and that one I'm doing on a monthly basis.
Okay.
And I think you can see it here, the wealthmasteryblueprint.com. Those
Okay.
have the webinar dates that I'm offering. And it's just a way to look at things differently. It's a kind of an invitation to say, just expand your mind a little bit and try it on, see if anything resonates. So I would invite people to do that. My contact information's on there. You can reach out to me and I'd love to connect. If there's something that I can do that's going to help anyone in your audience grow with their investing strategy, grow with their money management, grow with their business, see things a little different, I'd like to offer them that opportunity.
Well, I'm totally gonna look. I want to look right now. I mean, I'll wait till after we're done recording, but I'm gonna look and be like, okay, I will be there. I want to know. I want to.
Perfect.
I'm like, because I mean, literally, just like even for me, like one of my big things, and this is not about me, but I'm gonna just tell you a little story real quick.
I want to
Um,
hear.
but one of the big things that I have been working on is, we have so much equity in our house right now.
Yes.
Massive. Like we have probably about two-thirds of our value is in equity. So there's so much equity. And I'm like, okay, what do we do with this equity? Like we're like, we want to sell and buy a new house. And then, but like house prices right now, I mean, I'm in the real estate industry. I already, like, I get it. I see house prices are really high right now, even for
Yes.
me in the industry. And I'm like, do I really want to sell my house where I have a $3,000 mortgage payment? It's tiny mortgage payment, tiny. And like to turn it to a house that I really want to live in that's going to probably cost me three times, three times that in a mortgage payment? Or do I want to maybe use the equity that I have and use that for something else that could actually make me more? So maybe I don't have to even finance a new house. Maybe we can just pay cash for a new house. Like why not? Why not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I will definitely be on, I've definitely wealthmasteryblueprint.com.
Yes. The wealthmasteryblueprint.com. And Lene, I took that journey.
Mm-hmm.
I was, when you asked your first question about where do you find the money? That's money you have sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
That's your house is going to be valued at whatever it's valued anyway.
And it
And
doesn't really matter until you sell it, regardless. Like, unless you're actually selling your house, it doesn't matter what your house value is.
yeah, so you got all this value that's not leveraging. It's not creating anything for you. And so that was one of the strategies I took. A little easier back then when interest rates were a little lower, but it was a good strategy. Okay, so how do you multiply your wealth? You look at all these angles and see what's going to work for you.
Right, right. But then there's also like we have enough equity that I could pay cash, and anywhere but Washington and Colorado and California, I could probably pay cash for a house.
Exactly. You could live in a lot of places with
Yeah,
that equity.
right. There's a lot of other places I could be that isn't Washington or anyway. So that's kind of like the thoughts that I'm going through. I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna be on that, and you know what's even more important? I'll have my husband be on that too.
Awesome.
I
Awesome.
think
I
that's
will
important.
look forward to seeing you both.
Yeah, love it, love it. Okay, and so the last question I have for you, just because we talked a little bit about podcasts, but like, what are your top 5 books that you would recommend? I mean, I know you gave me a couple,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
what would you recommend, like, to people? Because we're talking to real estate agents, we're talking to top 1%ers. Like, what would you recommend?
Yeah. So Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. If you haven't touched that one, that's a must, an absolute
Okay.
must. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, absolute must. And these are some of the basics. An interesting one, Missed Fortune 101, Douglas Andrew,
Okay.
is a different way of looking at money. That one's powerful if that's one you haven't touched. I just finished Tell to Win, Peter Goober. That was powerful I'm a very fact person, high D, facts. Shifting to story was very, very valuable. Who Not How, Dan Sullivan. Have you read that one?
Love that book. I love anything Dan.
Yeah, but life changing to say it doesn't have to be me. And frankly, I'm not the best at most of these things.
Right.
And if I can deploy a who somewhere, I'll go like this. So those are some. There's so many because I look at my bookshelf like you, and book after book after book. I put them in one little spot on my bookshelf and told my kids they aren't interested today. That at some point when you inherit all these books, these are the ones right here I want you to go through. So I'm going to segment them off for you so you
Oh,
can
that's so
take
good.
a peek.
That's awesome. Yes, there's my bookshelf.
Yeah, yeah,
I've
exactly.
lots of books on there, so lots. I love Who Not How. I've read that one twice because
Yeah.
I every single time I reread a book, I like learn something new every day. This was awesome, Kelly. I so appreciate having you here. And anyone, if you want to learn from Kelly, go to the wealthmasteryblueprint.com. Check her out. I can just tell you, just from having met her a couple of times in person and conversations over the phone, she is a very genuine, very authentic giver. She's a total go giver. So thank you very much
Which
for.
is another great book, Bob Berg, Go
Yeah.
Giver.
Actually, what's funny is my mom gave it to me. I read it every year, and
Yeah.
inside, I didn't know what she said. It's from my mom. She's got beautiful handwriting.
I can't read it. What did she say? Read it
To
to me.
Linnea, you are a go giver. Hope you enjoy this little story.
Oh, that's beautiful. From your mom, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and so I didn't know what she meant until I read it, and now I read it every year. I'm like, wow, she really think like this is like the best compliment my mom's ever given me.
That's the best compliment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
just like this is you, and I'm like, you wrote a book about they wrote a book about me. So best compliment my mom ever gave me. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you joining
Thank
us.
you for your beautiful questions and your authenticity. I loved it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hopefully you saw that Kelly's story is more than real estate. It's a story of reclamation, of power, possibility, and peace. Her journey reminds us that financial freedom isn't a number. It's a choice to build leverage and impact on your own terms. So here's the question I'm going to leave you with. What part of your story is still sitting on the sidelines waiting to be activated? If this sparks something in you, don't let it fade. Make sure to subscribe. Stay tuned for another episode, or connect with us at lineacarver.com. Your next level is already calling. Thanks so much, and I'll see you on the next video.